Hello, beautifuls. Welcome back to my Chanel. I almost caught you stealing a sock, didn't I, little biscuit?
Attenzione, pickpocket!
You naughty little beastie. Yes, you are, but you are very good. Yes. Oh, thank you for the little sniffs. So, my lovelies, welcome back to another episode of my Transsexual Summer. In a couple of updates, actually, from this week, I have made a huge change in the way that I film my videos. I've upgraded my camera, and I've gone from, like, a consumer electronic to a cinema-ready camera. So, you're probably going to see me learning a few new skills and tricks along the way. For example, color grading. You might see some very interesting color grading techniques from me, my loves. But honestly, no one ever starts out perfect at something they're just learning, do they, Mr. Biscuits? No. Oh, you're really sleepy. You want to go and sit on your pillow whilst I'm yelling on the internet, don't you? So, my lovelies, one of the top comments on the last episode of My Transsexual Summer is by Whitney Ellison, and they say, my favourite part of this is seeing Lux smile so much. Honestly, there was a bunch of, like, top comments that I could have used, but they're just really personal stories that people wanted to share within those comments. So thank you so much for leaving that, because yes, ironically, this show from 12 to 13 years ago brought me so much joy to watch. You've got some eye gloop, and I feel like it's one of those things that, as I said in the last episode, this kind of a video, this kind of a show could not be made now in this way. It's so perplexing to really realize that, like, a while ago, things were better for trans people. I mean, that's like better with an asterisk, because it wasn't really better. It was just kind of like less focused on politically. And I don't know if that really does mean better or not, but it feels like it was less of a political culture war moment.
She's educated.
And Mr. Biscuits, who honestly wants their very existence to be part of a culture war? Not meow. So talking about the last episode, it was one of my most enjoyable videos to make here on the Chanel, my lovelies. Today I'm hoping that in episode 2, I don't know what we're gonna see, but I'm hoping that we also get some more like light-hearted, nice moments of just trans joy, because I feel like we need some of that right now. We really do, don't we? And if you'll notice in the last video, a huge percentage of the cast actually reached out and left a gorgeous little comment on my video. So I'm so thankful that you guys are here and watching this journey as well. I must admit, having never done anything like TV, it must be a little bit strange watching something from like 10 years ago be reacted to on YouTube. I obviously can't relate, but I mean, if I was to ever look back at my old videos, I'd be like, ooh, interesting. But I do have it on good authority that there is some very tiny amounts of productionery happening during this series, and I wonder if we'll be able to point it out as we go along. So, my lovelies, make sure you grab yourself a beverage. Today, I am again on the Pepsi Max, drunk from the skulls of my enemies. Pop your ocheng in and let's watch My Transsexual Summer, episode 2. Is it going to be a lot? I don't know. I'm going to try and make this video not an hour and a half long, because I had a lot to say in the last episode. I'm probably going to have a lot to say in this episode as well. But you know, if you're here for an hour and a half with me, then I hope you enjoy our time together. Let's watch. Oh, look at the gorgeous house. Can we all live there? All transsexuals live there. Oh, I do actually want to say, before we get into it, I do have to rotate the video here on the Chanel, because Content ID is like, nope, you absolutely cannot have it in any other way, shape, or form. So I do understand the comments being like, Luxeria, could you please make it straight? I can't see it. It can't be made. It cannot be made if I was to put it absolutely flat for you all to easily see, unfortunately, because according to YouTube guidelines, that means that the original content is not transformed enough. So there.
I'll tell you what, Tom. I'll tell you what.
Die.
Oh, a builder? A removal? An artiste?
It's just 5 days until the next retreat.
Oh, yes. So the question that I had in the last episode was like, how often did I go to the lovely house? Every weekend. Quite clearly every weekend. I was just so elated with emotion that when I was watching the last episode, I didn't realise that until I was in the editing room being like, yes, Luxeria, you can clearly see. They say it like 20 times. Pay attention.
But for now, everyone's back at home,
the
facing
high
up
street
to the daily
before
problems
Brexit.
of being trans.
The daily problems. The daily...
Most I've
the
had
boob job fund. I had one then.
Boob job fund is like £1,000. And I know full well that there's going to be like way less, just because I've had to like spend so much on things. 78, 200, so I've got 300. That wouldn't even pay for like Botox, let alone a boob job. So unless some rich man wants to come and help me out, I don't think I'll be getting a boob job anytime soon.
Well, you never know, do you? So I do actually want to say, I feel like every trans person kind of goes through this, like, moment. I feel, even if you're not trans and you're just going for, like, your own gender-confirming surgeries, whatever that may be to you, if that's just, like, cis breast implants or something like that, it is such a mountain to climb to be trans. Like, I'm in a very lucky position where I was able to crowdfund and also save enough money quite quickly to get my major surgeries done. But it still took years. It took years and years and years of saving and basically making really big decisions of like, oh, this is equivalent to the deposit for a house. Do I want to be happy or do I want a roof over my head? Very difficult decisions to make. And I feel like these are the sorts of things that aren't really spoken about a lot in transition, because I feel like unless you're on the inside, actually like going through the process, like some people when they're like, do you know, I quite fancy a boob job. Not the end of the world, but I quite fancy it. And then they look at the price, might be like, oh, do you know what? Maybe not. And it's like for a trans person, that might not necessarily always be the option. The maybe not might not be the option. It's difficult, very difficult being trans, and it's so pissing expensive.
Drew's been living as a
it's the
woman
photo.
for 5 years.
5
But
years.
she's a long way from having the body she wants.
T.
Well, obviously, like, I've
Relatable.
got boobs from hormones.
Look at those
That
curls!
is me, or that, but like, from about there, it's all like padding if you wear 4 bras. 1,
4 bras, wow.
2, 3, 4. It like makes it like look like you've got implants, and it's called the Jersey boob job, and then chicken fillets.
Chicken fillets, oh
That.
To afford breast surgery,
Trans people are so creative. Everybody's so creative. No, when you are practicing the art of like early transition and early transformation, the level of like magic that you have to do in order to feel alive and feel correct is quite astounding. Like, the further I've gone in my transition, the less I've found that I've had to do some of my early tricks to make myself feel a certain way, or to hit my goal, my personal goal, which is to pass. Passing isn't everything, but for me, it's like quite a what's the word I want to use here? Not a pressing issue, but it's like a thing. It's an absolute force in my life that I'm like, this is a goal that I take everywhere with me. Not necessarily the same for every trans person, but it definitely is for me. And I feel like a lot of you people are here to listen about my personal experiences, so there. I can't believe that saying I would quite like to pass is a controversial statement in some trans circles. That to me is a little bit like, come on, sis, let's band together and not hate each other, please. Hormones, however, are magical things, and you can get quite a lot of breast growth just from being on hormones alone.
she needs a proper job. The trouble is, she can't get one.
All I've ever done is got rejected for jobs. It annoys me because I'm one of these people who I'm really trying to get a job, and I know
Oh my god, is that Windows XP? Gagged, love it.
out there who just couldn't give a shit. That's all I want is to feel wanted and to feel accepted.
Oh, relatable, Drew. That is so relatable. So, trans and jobs applications, so difficult. Such a mammoth, difficult thing. When I was applying for science jobs, I'm sure, I can't ever put my finger on it, but I'm sure being trans was stacked against me in these certain scenarios. Ugh, very annoying. I can't say for sure, but like, I was more qualified than a lot of people for certain positions, and I just didn't get it, and I went for like tens and tens and tens of job interviews. So that eventually I'm just gonna literally go to the point of, it's not about what I can do, it's about who I am, obviously. The one thing I don't like about British media though, is, did you hear the narrator there say,
Well, Drew needs to get a proper job.
as if there's such a thing as like a proper job. There is a very like British attitude that some jobs that people do for perhaps their entire life are not like proper or not like done or not like real in some way or another. It's like any exchange of monetary value for a service that you are providing in an employed realm is, I'm sorry, that's a proper job in my opinion. Some people will look at me on YouTube and be like, that's not a proper job. It's like, actually, this is quite an intense job. I'm very privileged to be doing this job, but sometimes it is a huge source of stress in my life, especially when I'm battling with the copyright demons, girls. But that's just the tea. So if you're out there and you have like a family member or someone being like,
Well, that's not a proper job. You can't draw things for a living. That's not a proper job.
just say to them, Excuse me. Don't talk to me! Just say, you know, piss off. Stop doing all that. You get a proper job. What are you doing? Nothing. Nothing at all. Yelling at me is not a proper job. Anyway, back to the video. Right, sorry. Rant over.
And just feel normal.
Oh.
6 weeks ago, Sarah moved from her home in Jersey
Been
to
there,
start
done
living
this.
as a woman.
Moved from Jersey. I do
Now-
like how they've put the little photos around the place to be like, we're still in the group, girls.
She's in a rented room in Swansea.
Swansea girl! What was that book? Cross-dressing with dignity. Wow, okay, that's very like, Ladette to lady, how to cross-dress with dignity. What's the other one? Lazy cross-dresser. The lazy cross-dresser? Wow, Alice in Genderland. Okay, that's cute. The lazy cross-dresser and cross-dressing with dignity. Okay.
Room in Swansea. She
We all
doesn't know
have to
anyone
start
within
somewhere,
50
don't we?
miles. But since the retreat, she's got friends to call on for advice.
Yes, community, important.
I'm
Tea.
fine, how's it going?
Oh my god, do you know now that Sarah, who we are watching here, is actually the CEO, is it CEO, or the like lead activist organiser in Trans Pride in Brighton? Did you know this? I did not know this. After I put that video live, I was just suddenly fed lots of Instagram reels of Trans Pride in Brighton, and I was like, oh my god! How brilliant. So, very good. I'm very pleased. Yes, light at the end of the tunnel, girls.
I'm really well.
Yeah, you look really good, by the way.
Oh, so do you. How have you been feeling since you've left the
Blonde
retreat?
pussy.
Amazing. Like, completely full of confidence and,
A fringe.
and
I like
not
the
really
fringe.
caring what other people think. It's so cool.
Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad.
It was
This feels a little bit like a production-based conversation. The reason why I say that is because I feel like a level of development won't just happen in one weekend in terms of understanding oneself. I mean, maybe it might, but I feel like that's production being like, why don't you tell Drew about how happy you are over Skype? Which is fine. I mean, like, compared to what this would be now, you'd have literally like a right-wing commentator in the corner being like,
Why isn't Barbie for men? Why isn't the Barbie film about men?
get a grip.
it was you and Donna giving me that makeover, actually.
Aw,
Really?
Yeah, I've been copying your makeup ideas and everything, eh?
good.
You're so welcome.
We all
Mike.
learn by
It's nice that people
visual
do
representations
want
when it
my
comes to
help.
makeup.
So, I really want to come out to my mum and I want to tell her.
Is this a
but
coming
I've
out
got this
episode?
massive fear that I'm going to lose my whole entire family and they're never going to speak to me again.
You know, you just have to do it, and it was like one of the best things ever because it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. And
Yeah, yeah.
if you want, like, you know, if it'll help, you can always come over to my house and meet my mum.
No, that's a really good offer, actually. Thanks.
You know, you can ask her anything you want. If it works out for the best and they accept you, then that's amazing. If not, come over for me.
Okay.
Oh, that's so sweet.
All right,
I'll
cool.
let you go.
See you
Bye.
later.
Okay, should we talk about coming out?
No.
Coming out as a trans person. Oh, it's a very mixed bag, isn't it? I was in a kind of a unique position, actually, because I only have one family member in my immediate family, and that is my dad. And he took many years to come around to the idea that I was trans. In fact, now, even occasionally, if we're at like Christmas dinner or something and he's really tired, he will naturally just go to call me he or him. And I'm like, sis, I don't think. But I'm at a point now where I find it absurd. Whereas I think early in transition, I was very much like, please do not. Like, I was very like stern, because he'll now like correct himself when he says it, because obviously it is obscene to refer to me with male pronouns like that. I would think anyway, and I know there's going to be some haters in the comments that like,
Well, actually, according to biology in year 4,
I'm not here for that, you will get blocked. So, coming out, I came out online, which is a very big thing to do. It's very dramatic, shall we say, attracts a lot of attention. That was one of my most watched videos for ages. I would probably change a few of the things that I did in my coming out video, because I made it kind of in a hurry and didn't really like put a lot of thought or effort into the way that I wanted to come across. I was just kind of like, I need to say this now, and then it was like a 3-minute rant from the heart, rather than like a more collected like idea of who I am as a person, which is fine. It was a long time ago now. It's fine. It's not actually online anymore, so it's not even like haunting my dreams. But there is always a worry or a nervousness when coming out. I didn't come out to my parents like face to face. I don't think that that is ever really a good idea at all. Actually, I feel like it's much more of an appropriate, especially if you get vibes from someone, like test the waters first to understand how safe you're going to be in the situation. I feel like nowadays it's really unpredictable how people are going to behave, because sometimes people can be very, very liberated and liberal and understanding, but have an attitude of like, well, not my son or daughter. And that's very like, you need to like understand that dynamic first. Whether it comes to like your family, your parents, I don't know, wives, husbands, spouses, or anything like that. Like, just if you're going to come out, make sure that you're in a really safe environment, your words are very considered, and that like someone else isn't funding your life so much at that point. So if you are a young person looking to come out, make sure, like really, really, really make sure that you take your safety paramount, like your safety comes first. Oh, it's such a unique situation because only you'll be able to tell whether you get that vibe from your like person that you're coming out to. And the irony, of course, of coming out is, once you've come out once, it's actually the first time that you come out. You're actually going to be coming out constantly throughout the entirety of life, but it actually gets so much easier after the first time.
If not, come a bit for me.
Okay. All right, cool.
I'll let you go.
See you
Bye.
later. It's kind of put my mind at ease a bit more because, you know, hearing about a mum who's okay with her child being trans, I think that's amazing. So, you know,
I think that's a great thing to see on TV.
So, no,
when do we
I'm
ever see
looking
that
forward
now?
to
Unless
meeting
it's literally people being like, look at this awful abusive parent. We never ever see that now. It's like the political sphere in the UK. The mainstream media has just gone so far right wing that even what's considered the left wing like mainstream media, such as The Guardian, recently just misgendered. They had a trans article out, and it was a negative one, and they were just misgendering the whole way through. And it's like, if you are our most liberal, understanding, like welcoming, diverse, acceptable newspaper, and you're still being, then like, what help do we have for the rest of the mainstream media? It's just obscene, isn't it? What's this? Oh, the guy.
In Merseyside, 23-year-old Lewis has been living as a man for 5 years.
Living.
He works hard
living and
to give his
slaying.
female body a male physique.
Right.
But there's only so much he can achieve.
When I'm in the changing rooms, I don't change my t-shirt a lot of the time, just because I don't want anyone to notice my chest.
Yes.
I suppose as well, when I'm changing my pants, I'm always a bit awkward, like, because I don't want to, not that anyone would look, but I don't want people to notice, like, the lack of bulge in my boxes. It just makes me...
It's very true. Very, very, very true. I love swimming, and I also love the gym. I love exercise. I really miss swimming and diving, and I have not really been in, like, a swimming pool kind of vibe, like a public swimming pool kind of situation for such a long time, simply for the very like fearful nature I have about changing rooms. If there's ever like an option to be like, I already have everything that I need on, I just need to take it off, but I'm in a cubicle by myself in the bathroom, done. I will always take that option. Changing rooms to me are always going to be like a source of anxiety, I feel like, and it's just like, I know that all of this looks very feminine, but there are parts of my body that aren't particularly very feminine, so it's just kind of like, I don't want people to feel like they can inspect me, so I just remove myself from that situation. And that is kind of sad, because I feel like I shouldn't have to, because I should be, like, able to partake in society, but also, with the current climate, it's just something that I'm just like, do you know what? Now's not the time. And I hate that I feel that way, because it's like, I do actually just want to continue about my like regular everyday life and like sometimes try out new things that I'm very excited to do that I used to previously have no problem doing at all. But it's still like, oh, odd. So I do understand the changing room anxiety. Changing rooms, the plague.
You feel like really awkward and I can't really be myself.
Yeah.
The only real way forward is surgery. He wants to get rid of his breasts and have a penis constructed.
Full body.
I'm going to take it one step at a time, and I want the chest surgery first. In terms of lower surgery, I do want that done, but I think it will be a while off because I'm a bit concerned about the actual surgery, the procedure. I don't know anyone that's been through it. I need to know a lot more.
Lewis has applied to get chest surgery on the NHS. but he's just had a letter from his doctor.
Oh.
They're saying that they won't consider me for the chest surgery at all until I've had the lower surgery. They class the lower surgery as gender reassignment surgery. They don't class the chest surgery as part of that. That doesn't make...
What? That's so obscene. That's really, really bizarre. I didn't even think that there was, like, leagues to surgery. I mean, for the trans femme experience with the NHS, it's not particularly all-encompassing, shall we say. There is no top surgery. There is a bottom surgery with a huge waiting list, and you have to, like, achieve several different, like, awards and achievements before you can even get to that point with the NHS surgery. So that's really interesting, but Lewis did touch on a point here that is very true, and I feel like it's still true now. From the trans men that I have spoken to and the trans men that I have as friends, whenever we're talking about surgeries, it does always feel like there is more development in SRS or GCS for trans women than there is in the trans man sphere. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like the idea of, like, having something there and turning it into something else in surgical world has developed at a faster, more well-rounded approach and manner than the idea of, like, having something there but having to create something newer, extended, and on top of that, if you know what I mean. I have to dance around this subject because of YouTube, so if you can guess from what I'm talking about there.
It seems more medical advancements have been made with turning an outie into an innie, then an innie to an outie, in really basic YouTube-friendly terms.
I hope you kind of get the point.
Sense to me at all, because how can they think that it's okay for you to have the lower surgery, walk around, like, with a penis but then with breasts? It just doesn't make sense.
Relatable content.
Sarah's taken up Drew's offer to meet her mum.
Right.
And has made the trip up to Wakefield.
Mummy in Wakefield.
I'm quite excited, actually. You know, I'm really excited to see Drew again, and also to meet her mum, because Drew goes on about the great relationship she's got with her mum.
Oh, mums. Aren't they lovely? Love mums.
Hiya.
Hiya.
Are you all right?
You all right,
I
love?
I like that handbag.
I'm good.
Cool.
Hiya. Nice
Hello.
to meet you. I love your hair.
Drew's mum has always accepted the fact that her son became a woman.
Cheers.
put yours
I love a
in,
good
Drew.
couple.
Oh, some of the language. I know, so there was a couple of comments on the last episode that were like, well, the language is fine because that's what we're doing. When we talk about adolescence, we say a girl becoming a woman, like becoming womanhood. I don't know, when it's revolved around trans people, you don't have to agree with me on every opinion that I have here on the Chanel. You really don't. I'm open to discourse. I'm also open to being told I'm completely wrong. Whether I'll agree, different story. I just find the language so...
She was a bloke, now she's a bird.
Like, it's so, I don't know, harsh. And I feel like there are ways to explain things in, like, scientifically accurate terms that do not involve such, I was going to say vitriol. I don't think it's vitriol. Like, I just think it's a little bit outdated in terms of, like, how we understand a journey is undertaken now. But that's just my opinion, and that's just my feeling. You're more than welcome to disagree.
And she understands the challenge Sarah faces in telling her own mother.
Dog!
Nobody in my family knows.
Have you not thought of a way of getting round it to approach it?
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why I came here,
Yeah.
to speak to you and about, because you're so accepting of Drew. Because I do think that there is a big chance that they'll...
Oh, it's funny that, like, because there's a camera crew in this room, they're just like, Drew, could you sit on the floor, please?
cut me out.
How would you feel if they did?
Oh, upset, obviously, and gutted.
Oh, no.
When I approached Drew, we didn't have eye contact. Drew were in bed, under the covers. And I went through everything. Are you gay? Silent. Do you want to be a transvestite dressed up in girls' clothes? Silent. A drag queen? Silent. And then the one thing was transgender. So I just stood at the top of the bunk bed, because she was in a bunk bed then, and I said, you want to be a girl, don't you? And then the floods of tears.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I'll leave you alone and you can come and talk to me when you're ready.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I mean,
perfect.
it took me a while.
What a brilliant, that is so, like, marvellous. Love that. Mum of the Year award. Brilliant. That's so accepting, and I'm so glad that it happened like that, because that feels like That's exactly the kind of situation that I would want. If I have something like tumultuous, dealing with it, mental space is a bit unstable, dealing with all these new emotions and new things, I want to be given the space to deal with those things. Having someone just like follow you and be like, tell me, is the wrong way to do it. But what Mummy here said was so perfect. It's like, is this the case? I'll leave it with you and you can come to me whenever. I love to see it. Love to see it.
For me to go down the stairs the next day. Because
Yeah.
it's like, you come out about it, but it's like, you know...
Embarrassment.
It's embarrassment. The first time I ever came down in a skirt...
It's a bit shameful, too.
Oh my God, like, I was hiding in the living room.
Yeah. My parents know that there's something wrong, but they don't know what. My mum's seen all my scars and you know, she knows that I'm hurting. And I need to tell her that I'm not anymore.
Are they self-harm?
Yeah. It's just the way I have of dealing with things. And, you know, I've seen the pain in her eyes when she's seen them.
Has she spoke to you about them?
No, never.
But she knows that you've been doing them?
Yeah.
But you do need to stop doing that.
Yeah, no,
Don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Because at the end of the
It's all
day,
in
you're
the past
beautiful and
now.
you'll just ruin your body.
Yeah.
I can imagine, like, losing my family, but it's that, you know, it's that risk you've got to take if this is what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't see my life without Drew.
Yeah.
You know, I was fearful that Drew... Sorry. It's just a bit upsetting. It
is, isn't
because
it?
it hurts me more to think that Drew would hurt herself rather than be happy.
Yeah.
So, to listen to you is hard.
Yeah.
Oh, mummies.
I'm on your phone call away as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Cool, cheers.
You know, I'll be your surrogate.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Gosh.
for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Oh,
See ya.
what's gonna
See you later.
happen, girls?
You see, she loves her mum. And I just hope, I really do hope, even if they don't accept her, I hope her mum just gives her just one little sign to say she loves her.
Oh.
Because I think that it'll mean something to her.
I have to have a moment there because that's really emotional. Oh, little biscuit. I love you. You can come out to me whenever you want. Okay, are we resuming? We're resuming. We've had a deep breath. Let's continue. Coming out is a very difficult thing, isn't it? My goodness. Having to, like, worry about the acceptance of others for revealing who we are is such an unnecessary burden, really, isn't it?
What if my mum isn't so accepting, and what if I'm banished, you know? What
Banished?
if I'm cut off?
I do feel like in these sorts of situations, when you consider what the outcomes can be, I feel like anything that's like a huge life-changing decision to undertake, I always feel like worst case scenarios should be weighed up. I don't know if maybe this is because I'm quite a little bit of a pessimist. I'm either pleasantly surprised or right, which is, you know, the way of a pessimist. I feel like planning for a worst case scenario is the most beneficial thing you can do in most like big life-changing things in life, because it gives you the opportunity to think, okay, I've already thought about what this is and this is the steps I'm gonna undertake. There is nothing worse than that feeling of like the unknown. I make it akin to like you're swimming in a lake, but you can't see land and you need to make a decision on which way to go. And any which way to go is better than just treading water until you drop under the water. My Transsexual Summer. Everybody's in the car. Look at the lawns. Hello, Fox.
After 5 days in
your
the real
cardigan.
world,
Donna! It's me. I like this hairstyle.
the group are gathering back at the house.
I'm quite jealous of a top knot hairstyle. I do not have the head shape for it. I just look like a lemon being birthed from a nest of birds. I meant melon, but lemon also.
For their second retreat.
Oh,
I know, it's amazing.
the glamour of the
Being back
late
together
noughties.
means they can help each other with what's been happening in their day-to-day lives.
I'm really excited to be back here. It really felt like a home, you know, a safe place for me to be.
This place is gorgeous. What a great location to do this in. Oh.
Damn.
I only saw you the other day.
I know.
When she left the house the last time, Sarah talked about telling her mum.
When are you going to go and see your mum?
Next
Do you have a date?
Friday. Yeah, I've spoke to her. And
so this is an
Friday
episode?
She's going to be at home.
Yay.
Is it going to be
She knows
filmed?
that you want to talk to her about something.
I think so.
What are you going to wear?
I'm gonna have to wear. I'm gonna wear girls' jeans, but like a band t-shirt.
It's a subtle, androgynous clothing.
Yeah, nothing too masculine.
What about
'cause
this?
I thought,
Yeah, I was going to ask you going to wear
I'd love to, but I can't. Because otherwise I'd walk to the door and she'd know straight away, wouldn't she?
Oh, difficult. Yes, difficult. Oh, it's very interesting being brought back to like early transition, because I feel like it's one of those things where you feel like you want to do something, but your own mind is actually a little bit of like a shock system of like, oh, you want to do that? Nope, you can't. Nope, you can't. Nope, you can't. Or you should do it this way instead. It's like your own mind becomes a little bit of like a, I don't want to say prison, but like almost like a security guard. A little bit like, no, don't. You're doing too much too quickly. It's one of those things where you need to like personally develop in order to become more comfortable with it. We are seeing this a lot at the moment, especially in like media. For some reason, the mainstream media in the UK loves to go and hold the microphone to a group of trans people that are perhaps in early transition and haven't gotten everything figured out. They don't necessarily understand everything about them. I was very much in a similar position. I had some very interesting thoughts and ideas about what like transition even should be, what it looked like, who the types of people were that would even transition full stop or be even allowed to. What a bad take is that? But that's because I was early in my transition, early in life, and I still had some hang-ups about certain things that I was going through. And I can't imagine now, me then being held a microphone and being said, now talk in this room full of people about the trans experience. I would have just said some very misguided, ignorant, misunderstood things that were kind of based on opinion and kind of this turmoil that I was going through at the time. Whereas now, I feel like 10 years later, I've kind of got things mostly figured out for the way that I need to be in myself in order to make myself feel like I'm getting the most from being trans. But the mainstream media is very coy and very sneaky with this. They will hand a microphone to people who perhaps haven't got everything figured out, worked out, understand even about themselves, and present it as if it is trans fact. And that is not the case. We do also need to remember that in these conversations, we need to be speaking to people who've been trans for like 10, 15, 20 years, who perhaps are a little bit more understanding of how far they've come in their journey. I'm not saying mainstream media need to interview me, because I can't imagine anything worse than going onto TV and currently being barraged by like trans questions. I do feel like sometimes in these spaces in which trans people are invited to speak, there is not a good range of trans people that are listened to, because quite often the mainstream media wants a shock. It wants a shock story, and the idea of someone early in transition who perhaps doesn't have everything figured out is more shocking than just seeing someone who's already quite comfortable with who they are, like just telling people how comfortable with who they are. And I hate it. But this is a very interesting time in media history where I don't feel like that is happening with this show. And I kind of love that, because everything is so welcoming and it's inviting questions and inviting discussion in a way that's constructive and not like, ha ha, look at them. And I hate that so much.
There's one person missing from the group.
Hang on, girl.
Oh, Karen.
Hey.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see you.
We missed you.
Oh, hospital, of course.
It's not that kind of webcam, darling.
Oh dear. Not a webcam show.
After the first retreat,
Charing Cross.
Karen went straight to Charing Cross Hospital for major surgery.
Yes.
People say to me, you're brave, I really admire what you're doing, but it's not courage. It's a belief in yourself that you're doing something that you know you've got to do, basically.
Is it a faith?
We do an operation and they have an instant improvement in their quality of life.
Yes, Dr. Bellringer.
She'll be recovering in hospital for the next 8 days.
That is a huge ward. Huge. 8 days in hospital.
How do you feel? Tell us how you...
8 days in hospital is quite a long recovery process from a surgery, isn't it? I was in, so for context, for my facial feminization surgery, I was in hospital for 48 hours and then was released. So 8 days is like, oh, you need to be like looked after for that long.
Feel?
fantastic, actually.
Oh,
it's a little
good.
bit sore now still, but
yeah.
I looked at it, I thought, wow, I've got one.
I know this isn't the point, but there's something so endearing about like old technology where everyone had to kind of like gather on the floor and have like cables and monitors hooked up to a laptop with an old microphone. Like, nostalgia. We just don't see this anymore. We would be doing this on phones now. None of this happens anymore. How wild is that?
But
yeah.
I looked at it, I thought, wow, I've got one.
Yeah, wow, look.
It just felt like it should be there in the first place.
Do you have no regrets?
No. None whatsoever.
No regrets.
You look radiant.
You look so happy.
Beaming.
Yeah.
I feel really good. I really do.
Yeah, do you know what, girl? I'll bring my piercing stuff. We'll get you some bells on it.
Yeah!
It'll be fabulous. You'll be ring in when you're walking down the garden.
I can vajazzle it.
A vajazzle. Oh my god. A vajazzle.
Well done, girl.
We love you.
See,
Bye,
community.
darling.
It is so nice to see a sense of community. I mean, I know this is like a produced TV show, but it is also like, it gives me the feeling of genuineness. Unlike some of the other shows that we've watched here on the channel, this is much more of like a documentary style show. Even though there are production aspects, it feels genuine, and it's just so important. And I'm going to scream this to the high heavens, to the day that I pass from this mortal coil. Community is so important. So important.
When are you having yours done?
Oh, come on. Play nicely.
On the spot, Drew.
Karen
I don't know.
Talking
Not
to
every
Karen has
surgery
got
is for
everyone
everyone.
thinking. Do they all want genital surgery?
Well, yes. It's quite complicated,
Before, like,
you know.
when I first transitioned, I was dead wanting it because I thought that's going to make me the woman.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm quite happy.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I feel.
No one else needs to know what's
Yeah,
going on.
apart from you and the partner you're with. And I think for me, like, you know, obviously I still wish I was born a natural woman.
Do you know, I love being a tranny.
But I don't know, like, it's not made me be like, oh, I need to get it done now. Not every trans person's the same, you know, everyone's different.
Surprise.
I am so, like, gooped, gagged, floored and amazed that they have allowed this conversation to have, that Channel 4 and this show have allowed this conversation to thrive, because it is so important to know that there isn't just, like, a route that you take as a trans person. It's not A to B to C to D, done, off you go, bye everyone. As much as a lot of medical professionals see that as, like, an easy route. It's like, this is what happens, this is the way it goes, this is the way it is. Like, no. There's a lot more variation in the human experience than just A to B. And I kind of like there that we heard two very different opinions. Drew there said that she wishes that she was born a cis woman, and we have Donna there saying that she enjoys being trans. I also agree with Donna here. I enjoy being trans. And I know that sounds like quite controversial because I got my diagnosis of being a significant active transsexual through gender dysphoria, through experiencing gender dysphoria. But the longer that I am trans, the longer that I've gone through my transition, and the longer I've spent as a human being, I actually am very appreciative of being able to be the person that I am, and I enjoy it for what it is. There is a weird thing of like, I can't go back into the past and make myself born cis female. I can't have that happen. That's never going to happen in my life. So I have come to accept and come to terms with and come to enjoy that I do actually like being trans. Isn't that weird? Isn't that interesting? Because I feel like there's going to be people in here in the comments that are like, I do not for a split second enjoy being trans. And there are aspects about being trans that I hate, but they are all part of like what makes me me. In my early adult years, I really didn't like having to go through things to make me me. But now, having gone through a lot of them, I am weirdly, not thankful, that's not the right word, but like grateful that I'm understanding who I am through forged by fire, so to speak, you know? I don't know, it's a lot. I feel like even people that aren't trans can relate to that. Like, everyone here will have gone through like a battle of some sort in their life, and I feel like sometimes the battle is a little bit more intense, sometimes it's a little bit softer, sometimes it's a little bit longer, sometimes it's relatively short. But I feel like everyone here, especially in my audience, let's just say, why are you here if you haven't been through something, girls? But I feel like everyone can have that empathy, understanding that we're all on a journey from A to B. Some of our journeys look a little bit different, but in a way, those journeys still make us who we are, even if they're wrought with problems, if you know what I mean. I don't know. It's interesting. And that's not to say that everyone has to be happy with their journey at all times, because that's also not true at the same time.
Shock horror.
Right.
But I think I'm more focused on top surgery than bottom surgery.
Me too. That's
Yes.
what I feel.
Yeah.
Nice
Yes.
big
Me
boobs.
too. Top surgery.
And then I think after that.
Oh my God, I've done them! Ah, what? Sudden realization.
Like bigger boobs.
Boobies.
I've
Boobies
seen a completely
everywhere.
new perspective. I mean, seeing other trans women that are okay with their genitals, you know, I didn't expect that at all. Because getting surgery is important for me, because I don't like the genitals I have. You know, I don't like waking up in the morning and seeing it. I don't like going into a bath and seeing it, you know? So I think that surgery would be right for me.
I would feel more comfortable with myself if I did have lower surgery. But for me, if I lost the ability to orgasm, I wouldn't be able to cope with that, though.
You're a bloke.
That's...
Your head will literally explode.
If I didn't
very
have
true
lower
thing,
surgery,
sexual
then
pleasure.
I would always be insecure when it came to relationships, which is a bit depressing because, like, you know, I consider myself like a nice boyfriend, and you know, I put a lot of effort into my appearance in terms of the gym and things like that, and it's just so frustrating that not having a penis, I feel like holds me back.
I do feel like there is such a nuance to like trans dating as well. Like dating as a trans person can be difficult, but it can also be like exceptionally rewarding. For me, it's very much one of those things of like when I am dating, I mean, obviously I've been in a relationship for over a year now and I'm very happy, so happy with my relationship. It's unreal. I didn't realize I could ever feel this happiness from a relationship.
Beautiful.
It is a little thing of like, you have to find the pieces of the puzzle that match. And the thing is, I know that people will say things like, oh, well, there's plenty of fish in the sea, or whatever that phrase is. It is plenty of fish in the butter, or whatever it is. Ugh. If you are, like, interested in a monogamous relationship, you only have to find one other person that fit those puzzle pieces. That's it. One person. So when people are like, no one's gonna date that, like, huge generalization about the dating thing, you only have to find one person. And that person absolutely is out there.
Don't look in here. I put far too much butter in. I'm gonna have to.
How
drain
many
it.
trannies does it take to make spaghetti, girls?
It'll be really lush with lamb.
Max has brought in some photos of how he used to
Danish
be.
pastries.
Oh my God. That's me when I was 21.
Wow.
Oh, that's so cute.
Oh my God. No way.
Oh, you're ultra thin, girl.
Yeah. I know. It's weird looking at him.
Serving
This is when I
feminine
was
pussy
Charlie
bitch.
For 2 years.
What do you mean when you was a child?
Like I insisted that I was a boy and everyone had to call me Charlie for 2 years.
Oh my God.
Max is happy to keep pictures of his former self.
Oh, unrelatable.
Some of the others have destroyed theirs.
I've got pictures of when I was a baby and like a little, like a toddler and stuff, but not when I was a teenager because I burned them all.
But I mean, looking at these photos now, all I can remember is people telling me, stop being so loud. Cross your knees. Why can't you play with a Barbie? You're going to grow up and be a lesbian because, you know, you're so loud and you're such a tomboy. And
I was allowed to play with Barbies, My Little Pony, anything.
That's great.
The minute my dad come home, he would say to my mum,
There we go.
why is he playing with them? And my mum was like, because he wants to.
Yeah.
And he just like, whatever my mum said goes. And I never ever, I think that's kind of why I took so long to figure out.
It took till my 18th birthday. It took me till my 18th birthday until my parents bought me a Barbie. But they did on my 18th birthday.
I've never had
She
one.
had a tutu on and she has little ballet bar and stuff.
Ah! Whoa. Is this the house from a different
The
angle?
house has its first visitor.
A visitor!
And he might just be the answer to Lewis's dreams.
Lewis, come and sit next to me.
It's a bit homoerotic.
I'll be a pimp.
Yay, we'll be all
Lewis came to the retreat hoping to see what a surgically constructed penis actually
Oh,
looks
is
like.
this the man
At the end of
with the
process,
penis?
female to male, finished.
Right.
Few people in the outside world know this visitor is transsexual, so he wants to keep his identity secret.
I finished the last of my surgery in July.
Congratulations.
He's been male for 13 years, and 2 years ago, he began the rare and painstaking surgery known as phalloplasty.
Well, Why introduce it like that? The rare and painstaking, just be like, the transformative surgery of phalloplasty.
Take away your skin and your soft tissue, and that is what makes your phallus. And then this skin here comes from your butt cheeks. So on the crease of your butt, just here, I have a scar that runs all the way around on both butt cheeks, and what they do is they cut, and then they pull your bum down and staple.
Do you get like a bum lift at the same time?
Yes, you do have a bum lift at the same time. This is your prosthesis, and this is the bit that goes up through the shaft of your penis, okay? Wow.
Creating a penis is a complex procedure. It takes up to 4 operations over the course of a year.
Yes.
The total cost is more than £50,000.
So guys, you want to have a look?
Yeah, if you're willing to
Oh, get your willy out, men!
Okay, this is what you're left with.
Are we impressed?
Oh my God. Well, that's amazing. That is amazing.
Oh my God! I did not expect to be actually seeing it. Okay, I'm going to describe this to you in a YouTube-friendly way. That looks exactly like a very well-endowed cis man. Goodness me. Oh, I feel quite uncomfortable, my goodness. Don't look at me, don't talk to me. And he's had a bum lift as well.
You can see that they pulled that skin back, pulled that skin forwards, pleated it. You can see there's still a few little creases
That is
there.
incredible.
Made the ridge.
That
So it
looks
looks like a
so
circumcision.
cis, that's unreal.
That is amazing. That.
And you have here a little scar around the end there.
What a very awkward thing, though, to just be like, get your willy out in front of strangers in a house. Oh, it's turning into a different show. Tranny's gone wild.
Oh, my Michelle.
And a scar running up the centre here. But that's not too different to
Even
how a man actually
yeah,
has
even the details are very...
And just down here, my clitoris is still in the same place as it always was, between the two labia, which
They
are
don't
now
move the
nuts.
clitoris. Interesting.
You didn't lose any sensitivity at all?
I gained sensitivity.
Did you,
Yeah.
really? That was absolutely amazing for me. It just looked like a regular penis. You know, it was really, like, well designed. He has sex with it and pees with it and stuff. You know, just everything is just like, you know, really, really incredible. I don't want a huge one because I feel like it would sort of be a bit intimidating.
Yeah,
and I
his
don't
was
think,
pretty big.
From my knowledge, anyway, girls don't like massive ones. A decent size, but like a happy medium.
Not some of the girls I know, really are.
Thank you so much.
Size queen!
So I was really hoping to meet someone that had the surgery, actually, because I really do want it. I really do honestly feel 100% about it now.
Yes, 100%.
I want it to look like a,
Totally
like
get
a
that.
proper penis. I want it to be able to penetrate, and I want the full sensitivity, so it ticks all them boxes.
Incredible. Takes a year to get and 4 surgeries. That's quite an extreme process, I guess. Wow.
It's Saturday evening.
Gosh.
Everyone wants a night out.
Oh,
and the
let's all
nearest
get
place
drunk, girls.
is a local village pub.
The green woman. Oh. Play a game of wooden butt plugs, everybody.
But they're not all comfortable with the idea.
Okay, this is
If
the...
I just go in...
Oh, wait, I've just realised. Okay, they're going to take a group of trans people to, like, the local pub. Okay.
To a pub, I modify my behaviour considerably to be less obvious. I try and blend in.
Yes.
You know, don't look at me, you know, I'm just a bloke. You know, like, I make sure that there's nothing special about myself.
Not everyone feels
I like the fact that you
comfortable
said special.
about going out. But then you have to. You can't not go out because you're worried about what other people might think of you.
Yes, very true. A winged liner.
In the end, everyone decides to go.
Very dapper.
It's a freak show.
Well, are we going in all of
But they're not so keen to go in.
Oh.
So it's Donna who takes the plunge.
Okay, so hang on. Oh, okay. I already feel like my skin is gonna leave. So we have a group of trans people coming into a pub, but also the camera crew is already in there filming their entrance. So even if this was a case of like, oh, there's just some like inconspicuous trans people going to the pub for a drink, it's made so much more intense because we've got like a film crew looking at everyone. Look at these people enter the room. Oh!
But they're not so keen to go in.
I haven't got anything to
So
squeeze.
it's Donna who takes the plunge.
Right. Hello, Donna.
I'm really sorry. Can we get to the bar?
Oh no, is this going to be very like...
She takes the pub
The
on her own
Bumpkins
terms.
versus... Right, Jaeger bombs.
Here you go, girls. 5 more.
Rather than hide away, she takes questions head on.
Right, okay. Tell me exactly. Do not mince your punches. Tell me.
We are together, we're friends, etc. And we go to the next step.
Okay, so if we were intimate.
So,
that
we
sort of
get
thing,
intimate. Do you tell me, or do I...
Or do you find out?
Well, do I... Exactly. Do I put my hands down or up your skirt and then find a meat and 2 veg?
Love him.
Her approach.
Wow! You see what I say about, I think I've said previously on this channel, there's something, this is a bit of a different situation though, because it's also on TV. There's something about being trans that just makes people want to talk about cock to you, and I don't know why it is. Even trans men get this. They're just like, oh, so have you got a cock? And it's like that same question is put towards trans women, like, oh, you must have a cock. Why do you want to talk about that? If I want to talk about that, I can talk about that, but I'm not going to ask you, sir, about yours. But how kind of, like, skirt around the issue, in a way that was quite respectful was that? Because in this day and age, you full well know someone would just be sitting there shaking and fuming and go, are you a and it's like, oh, I feel like there's something in older British culture that's very like, don't be seen to be being rude, because that's almost like more taboo than being rude itself. Weirdly enough, I don't feel like that attitude really exists anymore, especially in like the Gen X kind of culture that we kind of see a lot of like turfy opinions coming from. Right, okay, should we watch the rest? How does this develop? I'm gonna put my hand up your skirt while I find meat and 2 veg. Oh. Oh.
She's winning the locals over, one by one.
Okay, well, she is also gorgeous, so I'm sure that helps.
Wake up as being a natural woman, to be born as a woman over again, I wouldn't take it. I love being trans, I love the edge that it gives.
Nigel, stand next to me, don't look so scared. Come here.
Oh, she is like...
Great, and I've been talking to them, and it's terrific.
He needs some hair.
Yeah, I know that. I don't have a problem with that, because they're not pretending that they are something different than what they are.
Soon, everyone's happy to talk about all things transgender.
So Sarah's a guy who wants to be a girl.
No, I am a female.
A girl.
I was
There we
born
go.
a
You're getting with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you was born.
I'm the opposite.
You was born the opposite.
Yeah, totally.
God almighty! I didn't know it existed.
I am genuinely quite surprised at how, like, kind of respectful and welcoming this experience is being. Okay, yeah, some of the phrasing's a little bit outdated and could be, like, seen as, like, offensive, but it's not from a point of malice. It's from a point of, like, I just don't know. I've never come across someone like you before. I just want to know a bit more. And that is so... I welcome that any day over people that have come to their own conclusions because they've been force-fed a narrative by someone else. Wow. Also, some of these guys will love the dolls. The dolls can be quite a fantasy sometimes, so... I mean, what man doesn't fantasize?
There are a couple in there that I know they're transgender, but I think they're attractive, you know, and that concerns me. About myself. And I wonder if that's right or wrong. I don't know.
By the end of the...
Isn't it funny how we've just seen, like, cogs turning in that man's head of, like, questioning himself? But, like, these are women. It's not weird for a straight man to find a woman attractive. But I can understand also there's that thing of, like, well, they weren't always necessarily like this, so what does that make me? It's like straight men aren't attracted to trans women for their masculine qualities. They're attracted to them for their feminine qualities. So I find the line of questioning always a little bit like misguided, because it's kind of one of those things that points out that maybe like a level of introspection hasn't had to happen before. And I don't mean that in a way of like, you're stupid, you've never thought about yourself before. I'm just like, if the question has never arisen before, why would you have a reason to think about it? So it is interesting, and I'm glad that it's being portrayed in a very safe way of like, this is a me thing and not a problem with them. Because I actually feel like nowadays, we quite often see trans-attracted people, quite often trans-attracted men, let's say that, and they can't deal with this idea that they're trans-attracted, so they lash out in very cruel, public ways that are damaging. There's a concept of like DL guys that even I've had the mispleasure of meeting during my life at some point, where it's like, in secret, they're like, oh my God, I love you, the most amazing thing about it. In public, they're like, look at that disgusting freak. And it's like, shame. There's such an essence of shame to attraction. Interesting, isn't it? But then again, I guess for these straight men that have never had to really think about it, perhaps there's a case of like, because they find someone trans attractive, it does destabilize what they think, like, femininity is. It again goes back to the idea, I think I said this in Wife Swap, I was like, we raise like male and female children so separate with no like possible overlap that when they grow up they think that they are separate species, and that it becomes such a huge problem in like cis-normative heterosexual relationships. Not always, granted, not always, but quite often we will hear weird things like boys will just be boys and women are from the Gouts.
Oh, that's terrible. Thank you.
At the end of the day, you're still human. There are always grey areas. And regardless of what people try to tell you, that things are always X or Y, or A or B, nothing ever changes between them. There are so many binomial graphs of life that can apply to so many different situations. Attraction is binomial. It is not absolutionist.
Tonight, Donna's won over more than just mine.
Braid the beard. See, in love.
It's a guy who said he wants to take me out on a date.
Oh!
I know, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
No!
But he's quite cute. Bit of a country bumpkin, but it might be nice.
It might be, you never know. Oh, Donna, she's gonna get her kebab licked. No! Oh, chippies! I want some chippies.
What, no chips? I don't have chips for breakfast. Yeah, you... I'm
Chips
not
for
having chips
breakfast?
for breakfast. That is disgusting.
Although if you're hungover...
It's the morning after the night before.
Oh my God, I feel so rough.
Oh dear.
Been hungover.
I do not miss hangovers.
Even after they got home from the pub, the partying went on into the early hours.
Oh.
Do you remember jumping in here, opening your dressing gown?
You went
You did that.
all of it.
And you were jumping up and down.
You're joking me.
Donna, the slut.
I was naked. You were wearing a dressing gown, nothing underneath.
You had
See,
nothing underneath
alcohol.
your dressing gown, and you was
Up in the
jumping
air.
up
Behave.
and down,
They're
opening your dressing
naughty.
gown, showing everyone. Swear I'm lying.
Did you see everything? Ah! No.
Everything.
Oh, shame! Ding, ding, ding. Shame.
Shame.
Got more than just a hangover from the pub last night.
Oh.
Normally, I wouldn't have gone to like a local pub, like because I would have been too scared. But now it's like, what's there to be scared of?
Yeah.
Ever since she came out as a woman 5 years ago, Drew's been too afraid to go out in her hometown.
This whole experience has just like made me look at things in a completely different way. And like meeting Donna has just like made me realise that I should just be confident no matter what. I don't think I'll let anyone walk over me now.
Isn't that interesting?
Or tell me how to live my life.
Isn't that interesting? We can literally meet one person throughout our like adventures in this planet as a human being. I do apologise, I'm being visited by heavenly light once more. Isn't it interesting? We can meet one person and they can have such a drastic impact on the way that we view something or ourselves or like situations that we've been in. Immediately, it's like a light bulb click moment. Isn't that wild?
Like, why should I be hidden away?
Yeah,
Why can't
never,
I,
Drew.
like,
Never be hidden
open
away,
about
girls.
Myself? I don't think it's bad to say, oh yeah, I'm trans. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
Lewis and Drew bonded in the pub last night.
Are you all right? Yeah. I'm hungover.
Bonded
They
in the
may
pub?
want different body parts, but have found much in common.
We were talking for ages about how we both want the same things, really, don't we? We both want to look for a full-time job and, like, get our own place and stuff.
I feel like I'm just useless now. Like it's, no, do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like I'm contributing. That's the word, contributing. I don't feel like I'm contributing to anything, like bringing money into the house and stuff.
So, like, are you going to start, like, handing CVs out and stuff?
I mean, I always do anyway.
Oh, right, okay.
But I mostly look for work online.
Such a British concept.
It's easier to, like, get the rejection online just because it's not, like, face-to-face.
Yeah. I do want to move out and get my independence and stuff, but I also want to raise money for, like, my chest surgery as well.
I'm the same.
Are you? Well, for your, yeah, you've got surgeries in
Sure.
mind. Loads of people say that they can't really tell with me, but I really can. To me, that doesn't look like just a flabby man boob to me. It's too rounded.
People think I've got implants because of that line. And they're like, have you had a boob job? I'm like, no. They're just pushed up. I just want to like be able to look in the mirror and they just look like that.
Oh, see, that you're in the same position as me because people can't really tell, but because we know, and I'm the one who's got to go home and like get changed, take my top off, have a shower and things like that, and see myself in the mirror.
It's weird.
I know.
Isn't it interesting how the trans masc and trans femme, like, journey can kind of overlap in this sort of similar ways? I don't know, it's just, sometimes it really fascinates me listening to other trans people talk about their experiences because it's so profoundly odd when you consider yourself kind of like a rarity. And I'm not saying that as like, I'm a diamond, I'm just saying like, the journey that I go on is quite rare, but it's interesting hearing other trans people and immediately feeling that connection of like, I know what that feels like. I've gone through the same thing. It's so, for lack of a better word, it's very like magical. Oh, I won't say that again.
In just a few hours, they're due to go home.
Oh, is it the end already? No, we've still got like
So it's
half an
Lewis's
hour.
last chance to talk about chest surgery.
Right.
With someone who's had it done.
Before I had surgery, I had quite a large chest.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I was binding every day, and binding is not comfortable, and it's even more uncomfortable when you have a large chest. This is a binder that I used to wear. Between my skin and the air would be 5 or 6 layers.
Yeah.
And my t-shirt.
Oh, God.
You must have been so hot
Yeah.
all the time.
I mean, I broke 2 ribs binding.
Really?
So you go through hell and you will wear this and it digs here and it rolls up and it pulls down and you can hardly breathe.
Compression
And
wear
that
is
is
so
better
uncomfortable, isn't it?
than not.
Binding to me is a necessity at the moment. It is kind of presenting as male by doing that because people look for lumps and bumps when they're not too sure about.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. People's wandering eyes.
Yeah.
Looking
This
for
has got
bulges
Velcro. I'm
and all
excited
sorts.
by that.
But yeah, it kind of rides up like that, which is really annoying. And it's got like a little bit of space at the side there for like breathing.
Oh yeah.
And it's got Velcro on the side like that.
Like
so you just
this
kind of...
Velcro, so you can make it, you can loosen it a bit.
It makes your chest a good shape, that.
It's a really good binder.
I used to bind like quite a long time ago, but I'd prefer not to anymore. I guess I'd just rather see it as a bit of like, I've just got a bit of a deformity or something. Do you know what I mean? And even when I did bind, it was one that like my mum made for me. It wasn't like these. It was sort of just one that's a bit. It was kind of just like a panel on a vest inside. So I just like to see it like I was wearing just a vest underneath my t-shirts. You know.
18 months ago, Max paid £3,000 to go to Thailand and have his breasts removed.
What does it actually look like?
Do you want to have
Would you like to show us?
Look at,
Are we going to see some
I want to look too, though.
surgical
I
scarring?
asked the surgeon how many stitches did I have. It's 232, which I am really proud of.
232 stitches, wow.
I kind of feel like it looks a little bit like a shark's tried to bite me in half.
Oh, wow.
Are you not bothered by the scars at all?
No, because they're much better now. Like, they were purple. Like, that one is so much better. I lost, I don't know, 4 kilos of boob,
4 kilos, that is a lot of like extra tissue to have, isn't it? So scarring is one of those things that is so interesting when it comes to surgery because scarring can kind of be quite unpredictable. I'm really, like on my chest surgery, I'm really happy with how my scars are progressing. And I've sort of like paid a lot of attention to like how they're healing. Oddly enough, interestingly enough, I don't think this goes necessarily for every trans person's experience, but because I also like a little bit of the modified look, like I like to say online, I've said it online a few times now, I like to push my look up to the boundary of what we consider like the realms of could be considered natural, if you know what I mean. Like, obviously, I know people don't often have this kind of hair colour, but it is still within the realms of like what could be considered a natural hair colour. When it comes to like modifications, I don't mind a little bit of like under boob scarring because it kind of verges a little bit into like zesty. Like it's a little bit like kind of sexy in a way. Like bimbo slut vibes are kind of sexy when done in like a sort of, I don't know, like a softly elegant way, if that makes any sense at all. At least for my own personal taste. Like that's just my personal taste. I mean, there is a time and a place to be like sexy bimbo nonsense, but I quite like a little bit, just like a flash of that aesthetic. So interesting to hear about like scarring, because I would quite like my scars to be like barely visible, but almost a little bit like, oh, there is a little bit of something there. That's quite interesting. I don't know, scarring.
But I don't see it in terms of losing things, because I gained a chest, and the first time I looked down I was like, wow, I didn't realise how much of a beer gut I had.
Oh no, nightmare.
I've not been looking at it.
Wow.
Your
chest
is really
yeah.
It does. Plus you might get more
perspective.
Now he's been turned down by the NHS, Lewis is going to have to find his own way of raising money for chest surgery.
Yes, this is in the days before crowdfunding as well, isn't it?
You're the jam in the donut.
Is it?
The second retreat is over.
Let's just Skype all the time. Yeah.
Now they're going back to their real lives.
To the real world, girls!
Practice what they've learned from each other.
Right, okay. This feels very early in the episode to be like, bye everybody, so what's going to happen next?
The safety of the retreat, and this week I'm going to see my parents.
Oh,
and they'll
yes,
know
coming
about
out.
me being trans by the time I come back.
Oh, how nerve-wracking, girls! Right, here we go.
Are you
cooking tonight?
Yes. But what
Is
what
that
have we
mummy?
actually got to put with the stir fry? Because we've not got any like beans.
Lewis is back home with his mum.
Mummy?
I mean, are we having
Tomatoes.
rice or what? Or pasta?
We'll have pasta, shall we? Because it's quicker.
Fired up by the retreat, he's determined to find a way to fund his surgery.
One of the guys has had chest surgery, and like he said though, what you want it done so badly, why are you just waiting around though? You've got to do something about it. And he had to pay for it himself, and he's like, and he's been on hormones about the same time as me, and he's had his done.
Yeah.
So I just I want it done really soon,
I know. When Lou first told me that he'd made a decision that he wanted to become male, I just sort of went into a panic because I know what he's like, and he would expect it to happen overnight.
Well, it costs about like £4,000 or £5,000.
Was it?
Did you not know?
It just seems a lot of money.
Yeah, but
But it is...
If I have to take out a loan, then I have to take out a loan, though.
I don't know.
That's an interesting reaction to surgical pricing, because it kind of mirrors what I said earlier, a little bit about that vibe of like people that perhaps it's not like an absolute abject necessary step to have will be like, oh, that's expensive, I probably won't do that. Whereas for like a trans person, gatekeeping surgery behind money is actually like violence, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's different to just wanting a new car or wanting like a...
Yeah,
you know what
completely
I mean?
different.
Yeah, I know.
It's not like I'm... Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's a luxury to have the surgery.
The urgency is a bit annoying. I thought he was prepared to wait a bit longer.
Why?
Just from a financial aspect more than anything. But Lewis is really impatient, very impulsive. I want it done, and I want it done now.
I don't think she realises that waiting for it, no matter whether it's a year or even waiting, weeks is hard. So, you know what I mean? I don't think she quite understands, the desperation I have to just have it done.
From the outside perspective, it's kind of like, oh, well, you could just cope. But imagine putting on shoes that are hot. Not hot enough to injure you, but hot enough to be uncomfortable, and you're not allowed to take those shoes off until you've raised $4,000. That is how it feels.
As soon as I can.
Since he can't convince his mum to take out a loan, Lewis will have to fund the surgery himself. But his part-time job only pays £70 a week.
I say probably a tenner a week or something. Let me think. The surgery costs $5,000. There's 56 weeks in a year, is there? 56 or 52, something.
Oh, 10 years.
So 52, okay, 52. So
8
52
years.
weeks in a year, so 520 in a year. Surgery's 5,000, so it would take like 10 years to save £5,200. So 10 years it would take me to save for chest surgery.
And by that time, it will be more expensive because of inflation. Nightmare!
Hello, Rennie's Arts and Crafts.
Yeah,
I'll just go check for you, 1 second. It's just crazy to think that, like, being transgender, like, it all comes down to finance.
It is, yeah, it's very expensive.
10 years ago, I was 12. You know what I mean? That's a lifetime ago. So there's no way I could wait 10 years for.
That would be now. That would be now.
No way. I wouldn't be able to last 10 years. No. Nope.
In Wakefield, the retreats had a big impact on Drew's outlook on life. She's starting to feel differently about leaving her house.
I feel more confident, like, walking around now. I just feel like more like myself, like, I feel like I'm a person just like everyone else, and these are my streets just like everyone else. Like, you know, I shouldn't be made to feel really,
you're allowed
bad
to
about
exist.
walking down the street.
And she's more determined than ever to get a job.
Right, here
but
we go.
Instead of applying online, she's got a bold new strategy.
Right.
She'll meet employers face to face.
Oh, God!
Hi, I'm Drew. It's nice to meet you.
You're Joe.
Drew.
Drew,
Yeah.
I'm Tracy. Nice to meet you. It's my sister.
Thank you.
Today, she's come to a bridal shop for an interview with the owners.
Right, okay.
Oh, welcome to Gorgeous Brides. It's our little shop.
Amazing, isn't it?
Do you like it?
Yeah.
It's beautiful,
I
isn't
love
it?
like the chairs and stuff.
It's a very girly environment.
Oh, I must just immediately say, I can't remember this. I can't remember watching this bit, but I'm not getting a good vibe from this lady. I can't put my finger on it, girls, but my little gut's going like, blah, 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 blah. Careful, careful, careful.
And it is. It's a princess environment.
That's
you
what
know?
it's all about, making women feel special on their big day.
Absolutely. Are you married?
No.
We are looking for somebody who can come in to our environment and to help out a little bit and
Yes.
for you to gain experience, you know, that kind of thing. Is it
Gain
something that you was thinking of wanting to get into? Yeah, like fashion and
Yeah,
stuff.
I love fashion. I'm
Yeah.
really into that, and makeup and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what skills do you think that you've got that you could bring into this bridal world?
I'm a very, friendly person, and I always worry about other people rather than myself, and I'm always focusing on that. And I think all your
she's
focus has to
nervous,
go
poor
on to
thing.
bride and her family and things, so...
Oh, it is difficult watching like a job interview, isn't it? Like a televised job interview, because you're literally watching someone be like, I need this so much. I'm a huge fan of having money and not starving, so please give me an opportunity. And someone's like,
how do you feel you'd match with this company?
And it's like, oh, God.
Whatever she wants, she gets.
You seem, really bubbly and up for getting a job and enthusiastic to get a job, so I'm a bit baffled as to why you're struggling.
Like, obviously, I think yous have clicked, but I'm transgendered, so that's obviously, like, the reason I've not been able to get a job, because if I put transgendered on my CV, like, no one replies to me.
So do you think people are prejudiced against how you look?
Yes.
I don't think, like, everyone is, like, I hope not, but I've literally been struggling for 3 years to get a job. Yeah,
I didn't know.
Because
I didn't realise.
Really?
No.
Oh, gosh, I'm really shocked at that.
See, my
I
vibe
don't
was...
understand why you
Yeah, but
didn't
you
click.
she doesn't appear to be, she didn't look like a man.
No, you don't at all. But it's the Adam's apple, you can always tell, can't you?
Well, you can always tell. Why, you didn't have to say... Ah! It's the Adam's apple, you can always tell. What? No, you rude lady. Imagine, like...
Get rid of it, though, can you? I knew... But it's the Adam's apple, you can always tell, can't you? You never get rid of it, though, can you?
What?
I knew straight away. But it
You can never get rid of it. Yes, you can. How ignorant. But you can see here that Drew is immediately highly uncomfortable with the situation. Completely understandable. I also would be incredibly uncomfortable with the situation. Oh, bleh.
It doesn't make any difference to the interview that I'm having with you. It doesn't make any difference at all.
Would you be happy with me, working, on the shop floor, doing any sort of experience here, or...?
I think it's something that we discuss, you know, because it is a very important thing when you're dealing with our customers, whether they'd be able to accept it. You know, it's regardless whether we would be able to accept it, because the answer to that is yes, but it's whether the customers are able to accept, you know, a transgender person working, helping them, you know, get dressed into a wedding dress. That's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would you feel dressing a woman?
I'd be, you know, happy to do that because I just look at myself as a woman. But if the woman didn't want me to, then I'd respect that, you know.
But how would you feel if a customer wasn't actually able to say, there's something going on and I'm not happy?
Then why would you allow that person into your business?
Really uncomfortable.
So
but
you
didn't
serve
actually
bigots,
say
okay.
anything. That's, I think, what the problem would be.
I think that probably would happen quite a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, turn to you and say, like, would you want to speak to them and say, like, are they happy? You know, or even myself, like, you know, I'd be like, you know, are you comfortable with me, like, you know?
Are you comfortable with me existing at my job? Oh! See, this is the insidiousness of transphobia. It's never, quite often, it's never like, you're a disgrace! It's very like, no, we just have some concerns about you living and trying to earn a living. And it's like, so for me in this situation, I would probably have ended this job interview right there and been like, obviously this is not going to work. No.
It would need more thought, I think, from our point of view, as to whether you would be suitable in this shop. It's difficult. I think we would have to have a very...
I think this lady is trying to have some sort of like inner monologue conversation about it. But also I do feel like there's still a resistance there that's like discriminatory rather than like welcoming. Because how could you go on TV and be like, we will probably not have you? Not from our point of view, but from the customer's point of view. We're going to discriminate against you in this opportunity to get a job. And the Equality Act had already passed by this point. So this is actually illegal?
When she mentioned about the Adam's apple, I was like really pissed off about that.
Yeah,
so
like, you should be.
Bitch.
Yeah, 100%. She knew what she was doing.
I was like, as if you just say that to someone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, oh, well, we can always tell it's the Adam's apple, isn't it? Yeah, you can't get rid of that. Well, I can always tell you're a complete bitch because my gut was like, blah, 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 warn you about this woman.
Which I appreciate, but like I didn't want to walk.
They're obviously not doing very well if they've just got end of season sales and half price and less. I bet that shop doesn't exist anymore.
Walk away, kind of knowing the outcome, and I guess I kind of do. Hey ho. Back to the job search. Oh, so tired of it.
You just need one person
Every
to
little
take
girl's
that job.
dream is to have this fairy tale princess wedding day from being little, and there isn't any books that have transgender fairy tales in them.
What's that got to do with anything? Oh, right, so because this is the way it's always been done, we'll never change? What's that got to do with anything? Weddings weren't always white, you know? It's only because Queen Victoria was like, I want to wear white!
For the first time in 6 weeks, Sarah's dressed as a man.
Feels pretty shit, actually, standing here. Seeing the guy in me, you know, but... I mean, today's also the first day that I'm going to be called.
Oh no, this is coming out, isn't it? All right, everybody.
Ages.
Listen, be quiet.
She's in Devon to do perhaps the most difficult thing any trans person can do. She's going to tell her mum she's transsexual.
Right.
It's a huge day for me because, you know, this could be the last time I see my family in a long time. If they react badly.
Oh!
I've gone
Come
to
on,
see my mum
Sarah! You can do it, girls!
And I've just not been able to.
God, what an emotional episode. Ah!
But like, today, it's different, you know? And I've got a lot of help from other people in the house about preparing for it.
You've got a community.
I'm not on my own anymore.
Support. You're not alone.
The last few
this
weeks
is
have
a
all
step
pointed
you
to
can only really
today.
do alone.
And it's all been leading up to today. I've been preparing for today. It has to be today.
Come on, Sarah. hideous flower.
Sarah wants to talk without the rest of the family around.
In a field?
Her mum doesn't want to be filmed, but is happy that her voice is recorded.
Okay. Oh dear,
Right.
that's not good, is
This
it?
is really good news. You know all the shit and problems that have been following me? Well, I've sorted it out now. I know what it is. I've been living full-time as a woman for the last few weeks or the last few months. So I wanted to tell you that, basically it. Yeah, well, I guess you'd call me a transsexual.
You sure?
Yeah, yeah. Remember how when I was a kid, I used to like hate having my hair cut, and
Oh, yeah.
but, you know, it's something that I've known all my life, and it's something that I've had
no
problems
explosions.
trying to run away from, trying to hide from. So I know I'm doing the right thing. I just wanted to let you know as well. And that's what everything's all about. Yeah.
As long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah. The important thing is that I love you.
Yeah, I know you do. I love you too.
Yeah.
But as long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right then.
Right, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's up to you. It's your life.
Yeah, exactly, eh?
Is that positive? Was that good?
She was just kind of speechless.
Yeah, she did seem a bit speechless.
I've never seen her like that before. She went all red in the face, and there was just absolute shock in her eyes. And then, I just thought, carry on talking. She didn't say, I hate you, I never want to see you again. She was asking questions. She asked me, so what name do you call yourself now? And I was like, Sarah. And she said, that's not, I would have thought you'd have chosen a prettier name.
Oh, wow, okay. Rude.
I didn't have high hopes for today at all. But now it's, my mum's okay with it.
Okay.
As far as okay can be.
Wow,
years
okay.
And years. This has been on my mind. This day has been on my mind.
That wasn't as...
Yeah, today's a huge day.
That wasn't as mum's net as I thought it was going to be. Oh my God.
At next week's retreat.
Oh, next week. No spoilers, my loves. No spoilers. Right, I've got some thoughts. So, my lovelies, I've got some thoughts about what we've seen today. You have no thoughts, do you? You just have sleep. Oh, you're gonna fall asleep any minute. Oh, you are so tired. This was a really interesting episode. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. I'm interested to know more about the coming out story, because I feel like there's always an aspect when you first come out to someone, sometimes they are so overwhelmed with shock that they don't necessarily behave how you think they're going to behave. I don't feel like I often hear about people exploding with emotion when someone in their family has come out to them as trans. Quite often that explosion of emotion actually happens a couple of months later or a couple of years later, something like that. I'd be very interested to know how that happened for Sarah, how that relationship developed. From what we saw, it was kind of just a lot of it seemed a bit cut out, and a lot of it was just kind of well, you know what you're doing, off you go, as opposed to any real conversation. But again, it's a very personal thing to do, and I'm very surprised that it was even really done on television. But let's talk about Drew's job interview. I got vibes. Immediately as that was on screen, I was like, vibes, unsure about all of this, don't know about all that, unsure. They basically admitted to breaking the Equality Act due to their own discriminatory mindset. You cannot disqualify a job interviewee for being trans in the UK. You just can't. It is illegal. It's illegal to do that. And the very fact that they were oh, it's not us that have a problem with it. It might be the people that come into here. It's okay, if that is such an issue, that needs to be addressed. All companies should be a welcoming environment. Imagine exchanging trans for any other minority. Imagine the outrage that people would feel. Unhinged, absolutely unhinged. I do also want to say, I can't stop thinking about that trans man's dick It was just so big and well done. You know when you see someone who just has like amazing surgery results and it's just like mind-blowing that like modern science can do this, and it's just like, wow. And of course, this was, what, 2011? So the surgery concept and like techniques would have developed over the last 13 years as well. So if that looked that good then, how are they looking like now? Like, what's the new phalloplasty cock look like? What an interesting episode, my lovelies. So I've shared a lot of my own opinions and a lot of my own, like, journey experiences along this video as well. If you guys don't agree with me or do agree with me or want to share something else in the comments, please feel free. I'm always open to discourse. This is 100% free content on the internet. You do not have to agree with me and you do not have to enjoy what I do here, but I'm very interested to hear your guys' opinions. And with that, my lovelies, it's time for the Patreons. You can see yourselves scrolling past on the screen right here, my loves. Yes, you can. I actually have a couple of ideas coming out for the Patreon in terms of like new content that I can create for Patreon exclusives. I haven't quite settled on an idea yet, but I'm thinking of a private personal podcast called Don't Talk to Me, in which I talk about multiple different things. Maybe it's things in the news, maybe it's things that are going on in my life, maybe just anything that I've seen on Twitter that I want to talk about, like 30-minute style rants that are audio only. So I don't know how I'm going to do that just yet, but it is an idea that I am floating around. And as always, my lovelies, I want to say a massive thank you to my top tier Patreons. Orkos Samoji, Beebles32, Shell Herman, Christy Crownover, Christina Kyle, ContraPoints, Danielle, Elizabeth Stone, Eric Castillo, Fable and Flourish, Jamie Clark, Jen Martin, Jenabeth Herman, Jinwoo Choi, Caitlin Wright, Laura Jane, Les Banana, Lizette Cares, Millie Hammond, Min Min TM, Mariah Sherman, Novembrix, Paolo Rivera, Rubik's.co, Ryan Vita, Slampire Queen, Steffutech, The Chaos Collective, Victoria Corella, and Zoe Sevier. And you know what, my lovelies? I think I'm going to leave it on the note of, if you feel in any way, shape or form like someone is being discriminatory to you in a job interview, stand up and leave. It is not worth your time. And with that, my loves, I'll see you in the next one. Yes, little biscuit. I wouldn't disqualify you from a job interview for being too biscuit. No.